We both are food fans, and we both liked eating Mexican food, and we always wanted to like make our own salsa. Phil and I started tinkering with our ingredients, and then I told you to write it down.
Write it down. I remember him and I were cooking it in my mom's kitchen, and I looked over to him and I said, hey man, what if nobody likes this stuff? And he just looked at me back and said, hey, if they don't like it, we can always just bring it home and eat it ourselves. Because we liked it. My name is Phillip Campos.
And I'm Angelo Campos.
We are Tres Mentes Salsa, and we're based out of Des Moines, Iowa.
Tres Mentes means 3 minds in Spanish, because that's what it started off with my brother, and then a combination of Phil's girlfriend, and then my parents got involved. So really at this point, it should be 6 Mentes.
Originally, we're from the Philippines, and I hail from Manila, and it's a city. I came here as a nurse, and I met my husband in a wedding, and we have a common friend that was gonna get married at Iowa State University. At that time, he was a student.
My story of coming to the United States is pretty much similar. I was a student at the University of the Philippines, and the next journey, if you would, took me to Ames, Iowa.
We decided after a few years of dating that we would get married, and so we made Iowa our home.
And the rest, I guess, is history.
I love my parents, like that's an understatement. I'm proud of them, and they support us 100%.
I can't imagine what that feeling would be to get on a plane with just a little bit of money in your pocket and just go.
Just the sheer circumstance of them meeting in Ames, when I just break it down, the amount of hard work and just timing had to go into place. Like if my dad decided, hey, I'm just gonna get C's and not go after graduate school in the US, there wouldn't be us.
Phillip and Angelo grew up together in the Des Moines suburb of Grimes. Even as children, the brothers both showed signs of entrepreneurship.
We were just like regular kids. Like we liked stunt bikes. I remember like riding around with the kids, the neighborhood kids with our stunt bikes. We thought we were cool, and we were always intrigued, Phillip and I, with selling things.
As little kids, we weren't always raised that, you ask mom and dad for something, they're gonna give it to you. Matter of fact, my mom always would just say, if you really want something, you should go and find some money on how to pay for it. I remember there was this one time in art class where I would draw the Chicago Bulls logos and then just pass it around to all my good friends. And I remember this girl came up to me and she said, hey, I want one of those. And I said, okay. And she pulled out $1 out of her pocket, and I was like, you're gonna give that to me? And she ended up giving me $1 for this little piece of drawing that I did.
I remember vividly, like when I was younger, I was probably like 14 years old, I opened up a pack of basketball cards. I liked basketball and baseball. And Carmelo Anthony was in one of those packs, and I remember looking, because he just got into the league, and I remember bringing it to the local card shop, and I bought the pack for $5, and I got one card out of it, and then I brought it in there, and the guy says, yeah, I'll give you $50 for it. And I was just like, wait, what, $50? So I made $45 on this one card by opening up a pack of cards, and then I just tell Phil, hey, give me some of your money that you're making doing whatever, and let's buy all these cards, because we're gonna be rich.
Phillip and Angelo both graduated from college and landed positions with corporate employers. They both found that they were unhappy with their careers.
Angelo and Phil were in corporate jobs after college, and then decided this is not for them.
There's a sense of entitlement that a lot of new college students, when they graduate, they feel like, well, I have this big degree now that I should get this big boy job that pays X amount of dollars, because that's what's supposed to happen, right? That's why I go to college. And that didn't happen for me. I started from the bottom, and I just worked my way up, and I just was looking around at the same individuals that are around my age that didn't have college degrees, in the same position, if not higher roles than me, and I just wasn't putting 2 and 2 together.
While working their day jobs, the brothers began experimenting in a vastly different arena. Together, they started making homemade salsa and sharing it with their family, friends, and co-workers. Their salsa quickly gained popularity at their offices.
We just started doing, bringing it to food days, bringing it to potlucks, sharing it with our friends and family.
Well, and that's where the light bulb, so to speak, went off on, oh, let's go sell this, is when he brought it to his break room. he put it on every floor in the building. I think there was like, at least that building was huge. It was like
Yeah.
10 break rooms. He had to put them on, put his little email there so people knew who put it there. And I just remember him forwarding all these emails, reading them. They said, oh, I want to buy more of this, or where can I buy this? Where can I find this? And that's when I was like, it's ready. Let's now start researching. Me going into, what's the next step? How do I sell it at farmers market?
The salsa was an early hit. Phillip and Angelo continued bringing their salsa to work, but also began attending craft shows and farmers markets to sell and advertise their product. Due to increasing demand of their salsa, the brothers approached their first major retailer, Hy-Vee.
We were doing so well at farmers markets that eventually somebody said, like, the farmers market's only open on Saturdays. The retailers are open much longer, so and it's not predicated on weather. Your sales aren't predicated if it's a bad day. So we went in there with a sheet on our sales at farmers markets, showing that people in the community wanted to buy it, had a price for it, and then told them how we're gonna get it sold. Because everybody says how great their product is. They go in there talking about how best tasting it is, but we went in there from a different angle and just said, well, this is how we're gonna get it sold. And I remember walking into the Hy-Vee location and just pitching right before we had to go to our 8 o'clock jobs. We pitched at like 7:15 to the produce manager, and he said, yeah, when can you have your first delivery? And Phil and I were just so like, holy cow, like it was that easy? Because the preparation led to the opportunity. Once we found that was possible, then we went to the next store, and it became like a routine. Like right before our 8 o'clock jobs, we'd pitch to 2-3 stores, and they'd all say yes, yes, yes.
Monday through Friday, we're working corporate 8 to 5 jobs. We're passing out salsa on the side. We're opening up in break rooms. We're getting emails. Friday through Sunday is where all the magic happens. Everybody always complains that they wish they could start a business. They just don't have time. That to me that's an excuse, because you find time. So instead of whining about it, we created action. There's a point in the road where something's got to give. I had to decide on continuing to do my 9-to-5 job or continuing to go off this venture that was still somewhat small at the time. At this point, I wasn't given an opportunity to choose. You know, we were at a craft show back in December. You know how Iowa weather is. It was snowing pretty tough. So I did what anybody who's working does, is you call your supervisors, you let them know, and I'll probably be showing up late on Monday, but I'll be back into work, just stuck here out of town. They knew that we were doing a salsa company, and I just remember coming in that Monday morning late and being pulled into that conference room. And I remember them saying, your heart's just not in our business as much as it is in your business, and unfortunately we're gonna have to let you go. And I remember there's 2 emotions that came in my mind. One is, what the heck am I gonna tell my mom? And the second was, thank you, God. Because I remember thinking to myself over and over, this is not it for me. And my cubicle was not dressed up with family pictures or anything personal, but she went and grabbed this one thing, and she gave me my keys, she gave me my jacket, and she says, oh yeah, I found this, was laying, posted up in the front of your wall, and it was this little fortune that said, you are on the verge of something big. And she said, do you want it? As cliche as it sounds, I looked her dead in the eye and I said, yeah, absolutely. And I remember calling my mom, thinking as a millennial that you've let your parents down because you felt like this was like something that, like you don't feel like you are doing them, you're making them proud. And I just said, Mom, I'm gonna go after this. And she said, okay.
And so when Phillip said, okay, Mom, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm going to go into a salsa business, and I thought to myself, oh my Lord.
They tell you they want to do their own thing, and you wonder, really, how are you going to be paying your bills with this kind of job, And we're always into family. We will support you, I said, as much as we can. And, just make sure that you plan ahead, be disciplined, and always remember that we're the parents here and we're always going to be there for you.
It could have been easy for my mom to just tell me to go find a job. It really could have been that easy, and I would have listened to her. But it was the courage that my mom had to say, you know what, I'm gonna test my son to see if the words that he's saying in his mouth right now, if he's willing to back them up with action. Because there's, you know, immigrants or not, there's a lot of parents out there that probably don't encourage their kids to go after their dreams. My parents are not those parents.
Although Phillip and Angelo are now finding success with Tres Mentes, they aren't slow to point out the many personal difficulties of starting and growing a business.
You know, this is not always as glamorous as what people say. It's very lonely, it's tough. It's a lot of long distance phone calls, it's a lot of late nights, it's a lot of deprived sleep, but I always remember the phone calls to mom saying, congratulations, the products being put on shelves. You know, I've had serious conversations with my friends and saying, guys, I don't want you to think that I'm not your friend anymore. I just have to go and do what I gotta do. And they understand it, but to a lot of people, they can't give that up. They can't give up the movies, the softball leagues, the basketball leagues. And that's why we're sitting here is, I've just missed more parties than a lot of people.
Through personal sacrifice, the support of family, and dedication to one another, Phillip and Angelo have grown Tres Mentes from a free jar in the break room to over 150 retailers across the Midwest.
But I just have a different long-term goal. Like, it's not just monetary, it's also, we have an immigrant perspective. I want to go back and build a school in the Philippines. Like, this train doesn't stop until that happens. That's one of my goals.
You know, we are in the greatest country in the world. Anything is possible. And we really believe that, you know.
Hopefully, with people seeing them, it'll be an inspiration for them that yes, you can make it in America.
When you speak to these kids and you really connect and they see hope in us. To a smaller degree, they see, oh, if kids like that look like me can do what they're doing, it at least opens the door to them that, okay, let's give my idea a shot, let's do this. And I can see that when we talk to them, I can see it in the body language. And that's why we always want to just speak to like all different types of communities. It doesn't matter what color you are or what walk of life, like it's all a mindset. It goes down to back to just like your mindset.
All other success aside, Tres Mentes has had one more side effect for Phillip and Angelo. Their shared journey has deepened their friendship and respect for one another.
Phil has just gotten so, like, his talent to sell. He had this raw talent to talk in front of people, like when we were at craft shows, because I would be so scared. Like, I was like, Phil, just please let me hand them the salsa and put it in
utility
bags.
Man.
Let me put it in bags. Let me be the guy that just like puts, you know, like the behind the scenes sous chef. Let me be that guy. And he would talk to these people, and he's so talented at making people feel comfortable. Like, I couldn't do this without him.
I give my brother all the credit in the world for making the tough decisions, because you need that. And there's a lot that we go through that a lot of people don't see. People see a lot of this, they see the smiles, but my brother has always been the one that keeps everybody on the ship. When we feel that, oh man, there might be a different direction, he's the one that's the most level-headed and the most strategic about what needs to be done. There would not be a lot of action for me if he didn't put the plan in place. I'm just simply the puppet that goes out there.
You're not the
No, I'm just kidding. No, but what I mean by that is that my brother is very calculated, and I give him I give him all the the credit.
What are you talking
No, but but what I mean by that, he's one of the.
Well, I'm studying. I'm just studying other.
He's a visionary. My brother's a visionary.
No,
and
I'm talking about salsa, Phil.
Well, no, but in terms of what we've been able to create, where we go, how our strategy is, and what we do. If all goes down, you always have family.
Over the last decade, methods of manufacturing and distribution have evolved. Smaller, more affordable equipment, faster prototyping, e-commerce, and better distribution methods have made it viable for entrepreneurs to enter the manufacturing industry. Gerald Beranek, owner of Beratek, is one of these entrepreneurs. Beratek is a plastic injection molding company that manufactures and designs their own products, as well as products for customers.
My dad was a gearhead, and he owned his own plumbing and heating business. So during high school and college, I worked with him all the time during the summers. But also, off time, we would always be building something in the garage. Welding, cutting metal, that sort of thing. Coming from an idea, sketching it out on paper, and then actually building it was huge. It was awesome. I loved it. What I learned early on before college, when I was in high school, building Jeeps and building this other stuff, what I found myself doing was in this trap of trying to plan and try to think about the future, like maybe I need to do this, maybe I need, and then what happened is you don't get any work done because you're thinking about it too hard. So what I finally started doing is say, stop thinking and just start doing it. You'll figure it out along the way.
After college, Gerald worked for 2 manufacturing companies and was happy with the life he was building. But he found that he wanted to do more. He wanted to make his own products.
I decided I wanted to buy my own CNC machine. So back then it was a big jump for me. Bought it, didn't know how to turn it on, didn't know how to run it. I knew nothing about it. I knew how to design products, and I loved seeing everybody else make stuff on there, especially where I was working. I was like, I can make my own stuff. So taught myself how to use it. Google was a wonderful thing, YouTube. I had some other people in other companies help me, but totally learned it off the cuff. No real schooling behind that, and just started making stuff. Then in 2012, 2013, 3D printers came out, the consumer side of those. And I was like, man, I need one of those, really need one of those, because it's a huge time savings now. Now I could design some consumer plastic type stuff, prototype it on that, you know, go to the next step. Well, I didn't have the funds to go to the next step yet.
While all of this was happening, Gerald was also starting a family. He and his wife found out that they were pregnant. Gerald remodeled a room in his home as a nursery, and his wife assigned him the task of setting up the baby monitor.
That was my only task pre-baby, was to get the baby monitor set up right in the nursery, but couldn't find the best spot for it. You know, as a new parent, you don't know what to expect, but you know that, man, I'm gonna need eyes on your little kid for, you know, you wanna see everything. So, you know, the first place I put the baby monitor was on the crib. And I was like, man, this seems like I can kind of see everything, but not really. So what do? I hop on Google and I'm like, where to put a baby monitor? And there's first page, nothing but warning articles, do not place on the crib, blah, blah, blah. There's been infant deaths because of the cord strangulation. So I'm like, holy buckets, like maybe I shouldn't put it on the crib. So the other option is you put a hole in your wall and screw it to your wall, which is fine, but we just painted and I was like, this thing isn't gonna hang here forever. I didn't wanna deal with that. But I had a 3D printer and I could design something. So I actually just threw up a design real fast, 3D printed it, stuck it to the corner, and I used that for like the first 3 or 4 months.
He named his product ViewC and started selling it online.
In March 2014, I took paternity leave, and the goal for that was take paternity leave, see if I can get ViewC to take off. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul, I still got a job. But at the end of the paternity leave, it was a difficult conversation, like with my wife, like, yes, I'm gonna quit my job because I think I can get this to take off, but we just had a kid, and so not a normal conversation. You don't quit your job when you have a kid, but for me, I knew I had to. ViewC is just a piece of plastic. And I'm like, it solves a problem, people have the problem, people buy it. It's very inexpensive, but I wanted to do more. I had more products already. I was going the traditional route of getting a mold quoted, having somebody else produce it, me buying inventory. But I had like 4 products that I wanted to do at once. And you know, it was like between $200,000 and $300,000 in molds alone. And I'm like, I can't spend that kind of money on a product that I don't know if it's gonna sell or not. And so right there I was like, all right, maybe I need to buy my own equipment. And then we can make whatever molds, products, all that type of stuff that we wanted. That was towards the end of 2014. Found a partner. He got us up and running on the money side to buy the equipment, get up and going, but that's where we started.
Owning a new business, Gerald was concerned with cash flow. He couldn't afford investing a lot of money and time making custom molds only to sell a few hundred products.
My first set of products in 2015, there was zero market research. These were products that I wanted, I needed, figured everybody else would need. So zero market research. We do things a lot differently now. Before we put money into a mold or anything like that, we'll develop it. And most of our products are really, really simple, so they don't take much time to develop. Real fast and easy. We 3D print them, and then we'll take some nice marketing photos, maybe a video, and then we put some advertising money behind it online to see kind of what the response is. The stuff isn't for sale yet, but if we know we get so many clicks or so many people to the page, we know that there's a good chance that this thing's gonna sell. That gives us our warm and fuzzy that says, yeah, we think this is gonna take off. Then we'll go to the next step and actually invest a little bit of money into it to getting it manufactured.
Only after a prototype is approved for mass production, a series of expensive metal molds are created to maximize speed and efficiency. Streamlining the production process was key to Gerald's success, but it didn't come without stress.
Back then, you know, my wife had a good paying job, I had a good paying job, money wasn't an issue. We could do what we wanted. And so when I quit my full-time job, I didn't have a paycheck for 3 years. I was living off savings, we tightened everything up real well. So it's really about money. You know, it's one thing to be stressed about your own finances, but now when you have to stress about everybody else's, because when you hire people, you don't want to hire them and lay them off in a week, so you have to plan for that, and I worry about that every day. If we fail, there's 15 people that lose their jobs, have to go find somewhere else to work. So now I'm not only worried about my financials, I'm worried about everybody else's financials, so that's a whole nother added layer of stress.
A big portion of Gerald's business is working for clients. Just like Gerald, a lot of these clients are inventors trying to bring a new product to the market. They might not have a lot of business experience, but Gerald encourages them not to fear failure.
For me, failure is just learning. The key is you have to take what you learn out of that failure and apply it to the next round, and do it quickly. You can't fail and think about it for the next 4 weeks, like, why did this happen? It's fail, move on to the next one, keep going, and really rapid doing that. If you dwell on your failures, you're not gonna get anywhere. So regardless of what type of failure it is, it could be financial, it could be, hey, we spent this much money. It's like, all right, great, we'll figure it out, move on to the next thing. And don't be afraid to fail. I mean, if you fail at the same thing 27 times, then we have a problem because you didn't learn anything from the first failure. So iterate it, do something different, keep moving forward. Because especially in the world of marketing, you know, e-commerce and the internet and marketing is changing dynamically every single day. And so you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. It has to change. So what you thought might work last week isn't working this week. So then you iterate, keep going.